Everybody that's online, we'll give this another minute or so, and then we'll start up the meeting. Just waiting to see if anybody else has a last minute join. Okay, so why don't we begin? Good evening. Let me first begin by saying thank you to everybody that joined the meeting. This is our delayed annual meeting without a food fest. It's the first time that we've ever done a virtual annual meeting, and hopefully, if we ever have to do this again, it will be because of some other reason than COVID-19. What we wanted to do tonight was actually just go through the FCA accomplishments in 2019, and then at the end talk a little bit about our focus on issues for 2020, and then call for a vote of the board members, the slate of board members we have, and get everybody's input. What I'll do is start the discussion around efforts we made in 2019 on community advocacy. Then David Haggerty will follow by enhancing community cohesion. Alexis Zollner will talk about community stewardship. And then Frank Immel will talk about ongoing focus and the board elections. Bill Wellington, the webmaster, will then read out the tally of the vote results. So with that, let me go to this first slide. I hope everybody can see it. Start the survey at the top. In 2018, the FCA conducted a parking survey with patrons of the end of line triangle businesses. Those results were collected and reported out in 2019. There were 4 businesses that were surveyed, or the patrons were surveyed, that went to 4 businesses. That was Joe's, the bakery, Salon, and Wildwood Market. We asked them how many of them drove to the businesses, and then how far they would be willing to walk to continue to patronize the businesses. It was actually quite a high number, drove 88%, with a range from 76 to 89%, 89% being the bakery, which isn't surprising since most people that go into the bakery are sort of on their way to work or someplace else and just stop in for a quick donut. There were, when we asked them how many would be willing to walk more than a block, there were only 39% said they would be willing to walk more than less than a block. The 51% of the patrons that went to the bakery said they would be willing to walk no more than a block. So it was, we're not a very foot focused community. So it says something about the importance of parking to the businesses in the business triangle. And that survey came about in part because of the rezoning effort that was being done by the cities, particularly for the community, what's the word I'm thinking of? The individual business districts like Morgan Junction and Alaska Junction. So we focused a fair bit of our work trying to work with the city through Lisa Herbal's office to make sure that the parking issue was being monitored and not loosened up too much because of the adverse impact it would have on the businesses. We did get an ordinance passed through Lisa's office that limits off-street parking that would come with new development to within a half-mile radius of the ferry dock, which includes the business district. So that was quite helpful. One of the other things that the community should be aware of is one of our board members, Alan Granger, he's a retired architect and is on the Southwest Design Review Board. So that also gives us ears to the ground of some of the things that are going on. Additionally, we work with Seattle Police Department. Our champion is Lieutenant Steve Strand. He's the operations commander for the Southwest Precinct. He lives in the Fauntleroy community and is well aware of some of the issues we have with ferry traffic. He reported that the crime is down here in Fauntleroy since the stay-at-home order. So actually Fauntleroy looks like we're benefiting from that impact. But Steve comes to every monthly meeting that we have and debriefs us on the local community crime rate and then the trends in West Seattle and the city. The last one is the new District 1 Community Network. With the dissolution of the West Seattle District Council, Bruce Butterfield, one of our board members, now represents the FCA with the new District 1 Community Network, which includes not only the Junction and Admiral and Fauntleroy, but also now South Park and Delridge, Highland Park, and that as well. So that's an important network for us to stay in connection with because Lisa Herbold's staff attend that meeting, and we then get represented in a larger pool that has a much stronger audience from the city. So with that, let me turn the floor over to David Haggerty and talk about some of the work we've done, community cohesion.
Hey everybody, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, David.
All right, thank you. All right, so, you know, we had a great year in 2019 with community cohesion, which is another term for just community gathering and getting together as neighbors, coming together in different ways and joining, I guess, celebrating community. So one of the ways we did that was over a year ago, back in March of 2019, we got together for our annual meeting and food fest, similar to this one right here, except we were in person. We had over 200 guests, 7 food vendors, and we had 22 different community organizations when we had our annual meeting back in March of 2019, and hope to do that in person in 2021. Then in May, we did our annual Dine Out at Joe's fundraiser. We did that to benefit the Fauntleroy Fall Festival. We had proceeds from breakfast, lunch, and dinner from End-of-Line Joe's that benefited the Fall Festival, with the basket raffle raising $1,450 approximately, and Joe's actually donated $1,850. So a huge success that night in May of 2019 to raise funds for the Fall Festival. And again, another way that our community came together as a group. And then of course our Fall Festival, which happened late October of 2019. You know, about 1,500 attendees, a great day, bringing everybody together, all the neighbors together to have fun and ride ponies and just share that wonderful autumn day together. So we look forward to another Fall Festival and more information coming on that as it becomes available and based on current conditions. So stay tuned to that. So we'll go ahead and turn it over. I believe Frank is next on the next slide here.
Actually, Alexis is up next.
Sorry, Alexis, you're next.
That's okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great. Okay, so can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So 4 projects listed here. The first 2, the ravine restoration and taking up all the creosote logs off of the beach, have been completed. That ravine project went on quite a long time, but last year, Earth Corps finished getting rid of all the invasive species. And we can thank Judy Pickens for spearheading that project. Creosote logs, 36 tons of creosote soaked logs were taken off the beach in front of Fauntleroy Cove and off of the Lincoln Park beach by volunteers. And I mean, this was a pretty big deal. So each foot section of log has about 1 gallon of creosote to it. So I don't know that we calculated the number of gallons of creosote here, but that's a pretty substantial accomplishment. And Mike Day was helping lead that project for us. I think most people have heard about another project that Judy Pickens has been leading, and that is with the help of the Fauntleroy Watershed Council. She has been leading the release of coho fry into the Fauntleroy Creek. And last year, about this time, 2,000 coho fry were released into the creek. There must have been about 750 students and helpers who were helping with this process. And in the fall, they counted about 19 mature salmon who actually came back. My understanding is that each year we get a little bit more salmon that come through there. Okay, the last one is the creation of all the planters in the Fauntleroy Business District. And a couple things to note about this. So we've had the planters for a couple years now, and traditionally in January, we've been planting about 1,200 tulip bulbs in these planters. And then in the spring, we've been putting in about 100 geraniums to help with the summer color. This year, Ann Dawson is graciously leading the planter project, and we really need volunteers. We need volunteers to help with the planting of the tulips next year, the planting of the geraniums in the next few months, as well as having someone who can come water for a week at a time. If this is something that you might be interested in, we'd love for your help. And there's an email address up here, fcaforall@gmail.com, fcaforall@gmail.com. We're looking for people who can help out with the plantings and the watering, but we're also looking for someone who would be interested in managing this project in 2021. So Anne is working it for 2020, but we'd love to get somebody who would like to put their vision on what the planters should look like for next year. So if there's any interest, please email, and we'd love for your help. Thank you. And I guess we'll go on to the next one, which is Frank.
Okay, here we go. Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Immel. A couple of the items I'd like to focus on are the ongoing focus. Ferry line, which is near and dear to many of our hearts. We're monitoring the ferry line issues, namely line cutting, and we're working with SDOT to work on getting better signage as well as striping in the area. Regarding the ferry terminal replacement project, the neighborhood's interest on the ferry's triangle route are represented by myself, Bill Wellington, and Chuck Sawyer, on the Washington State Ferries Fauntleroy Ferry Advisory Council. At this point, the dock work is on hold due to the financial impact of COVID-19. As activity picks up, we will let you know, so stay tuned for that. But currently, everything is on hold. And again, as they are facing this serious financial crisis. Monitoring of the long-term vacant home, working with the Seattle Police Department and the FCA provides input on risk and monitoring of long-term vacant homes in the area. Keep an eye on those for you. Please let us know if you see some activity in vacant houses that need to be corrected and/or contact the police directly. Regarding public safety, the FCA supports pedestrian crossings with the crossing flags at 10 locations. SDOT has agreed to 5 additional ADA curb cuts for crosswalks across from Lincoln Park and a pedestrian light at Rose Street and Fauntleroy Way. Don't have timeline on that light, but it is coming, or the pedestrian light, but it is coming. Regarding theft and break-ins, we encourage those who see something to report the issue directly to the Seattle Police Department. They encourage us to call 911 if there is something that is happening that you think needs attention. Regarding the Jocelyn building, we're continuing to monitor that as well. There's no significant changes to date, but again, keep an eye on the newsletter and we'll let you know as things change. The Fauntleroy Creek Culvert Replacement Project. I don't know if you've been paying attention to this, but SPU is going to replace the culverts at 2 locations. And we're working with the project manager to address that. And regarding the detour for the bridge issues, we'll see how that is affected. And we'll, again, keep you up to date as that changes or it develops. Regarding the West Seattle Bridge closure, the FCA has requested involvement in the discussions and the sharing of the impact in the Fauntleroy business community with the detour route. And again, as that changes, we'll keep you folks all up to date. We've now come to the board of directors. I think it's our intent, we'd like to present this panel to you for your approval for the year of 2020. Mike Day will remain as president. Myself as secretary. Kimberly Terry will be membership secretary. Alexis Zollner will continue as treasurer. Bill Wellington will be our webmaster. Bruce Butterfield, David Haggerty, Alan Granger, Catherine Bailey, Susan Lansday, Marty Westerman, Nils Von Vey, Chris Eaglefritz, and Sydney Hammerquist will be your slate of board members. And with that, I believe we'd like to call for a vote.
Yep, so I'm putting a poll up on the screen, and you can choose whether you're in favor or opposed to this team. And we'll let it run for a minute or two. And once we've collected that information, we'll end the poll. All right, it looks like 3 of you have voted.
Well, I think somehow, Bill, I was, and I think the.
Oh, did you click end poll?
I did not, but I think that may be what happened.
I see. Okay, let's let that stay open for a little bit. Oh, I see. That's interesting. Yeah. So hosts cannot.
I don't see an opportunity to vote. It just says in favor.
Yeah, I understand. So here, I'll do that this way. So I'm pulling co-host permission from the folks that have been sharing that so that you can vote. All right, if you were unable to vote, try voting again. All right, it looks like about 56% of our participants have voted, so I'm going to end the poll and I'll share it. It looks like everyone is in favor so far, so that's great. So thank you for attending our meeting. Thank you. Special thanks to our 21 business partners and 300 individual members and their families who, with their contributions, allow the FCA to continue to contribute to the community. We sent out membership renewal notifications with our Last Neighbors newsletter, and if you haven't returned yours, please consider doing so now. More information, including our meeting minutes and budget, are available on our website at www.fauntleroy.net. Don't forget to support Wildwood Market tomorrow night and the rest of our local businesses too. That's the details for that is also at www.fauntleroy.net. And that concludes our business this evening. Thank you for attending. Let's see here. Mike, did you want to say anything? I can unmute you.
Thanks, Bill. Thank everybody for attending. I know this was a little odd. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of review of what we did in 2019, and hopefully we'll have as many interesting things to discuss when we have next year's annual meeting. I do want to emphasize what Bill did. There's a Wildwood Market fundraiser tomorrow. It's all day tomorrow, so order up your sandwiches or dinners in advance. Try to avoid a rush at the last minute, but it would be great if we can support them. We recently did the same thing for Joe's and raised over $5,000 worth of business for them. So we're hoping we can do the same. The community will rally and visit Wildwood for takeout. So with that, I will say thank you again, and hope to see you at the business meeting. The next routine business meeting is June 9th, 7 to 9 p.m. It's not at the schoolhouse. We're going to do this again. So welcome everybody to show up and participate. Thanks again for participating tonight, and good night.
And the details for that business meeting next month are also on the website.
Great. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Good night.